This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Renee Semmerauer with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. We have an update on a major fire that broke out overnight at the Lodge on Mount Charleston. The Clark County Fire Department was called to the scene at 4:45 a.m. this morning. A spokesperson for Ellis Island Casino and Brewery, who owns the Lodge, said that the main building, was lost in the blaze. A witness who was staying in a cabin near the Lodge told the Review-Journal that she woke up to a noise around 4:45 a.m. and that she and a friend came out of their cabin and saw flames rising into the sky. The Lodge site at the top of Kyle Canyon was built nearly 60 years ago on the site of a previous lodge that was destroyed by a fire in 1961. The fire department recently gave us an update on this fire. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
So at approximately 4:45 a.m. this morning, our dispatch center began receiving calls for reports of a fire in a building at the Lodge here on Mount Charleston. At approximately the same time, we began dispatching crews from the Mount Charleston Fire Protection District, which is here on the mountain, and also City of Las Vegas and Clark County units coming from the Las Vegas Valley. First units began arriving on scene just before 5 a.m., which were Mount Charleston Fire Protection District Engine 853, and they reported over the radio to have heavy fire showing and almost full engulfment in the dining area of the Lodge. All Valley resources began to arrive or respond from Las Vegas and arrive on scene. We sent a total of 6 engines, 4 rescues, 2 truck companies, 1 water tender, 2 battalion chiefs and an assistant chief for a total of approximately 45 personnel, mostly coming from the City of Las Vegas and Clark County units in the Las Vegas Valley. As crews began arriving on scene, it was very apparent from the beginning that this was going to be a defensive operation, meaning we're not going to send anybody interior to fight the fire because it was too dangerous. There was too much fire involvement. So crews began setting up a defensive posture to prevent the fire from spreading not only to the surrounding timber, but also to the adjacent buildings in the immediate vicinity. We've been operating in a defensive posture since that time, and we have not yet sent any crews inside the structure. Reports are from property management that the business and all employees left last night at approximately 9 a.m. We currently don't know what caused the fire. We do have Clark County fire investigators on scene, and they have yet to enter the structure to begin their investigation. So right now the cause is undetermined and unknown. We don't have any reports of injuries or people missing, although we have not yet conducted a primary search of the interior of the structure, and that probably won't happen for some time. There were no injuries reported as of yet, no firefighter injuries or civilian injuries reported whatsoever. So currently we're in still a position where we're going to continue spraying water on the fire. As most people know, this structure is pretty old. There's been multiple additions, and as a result, there's a lot of void spaces in the structure that prevent us from easily being able to apply water from the exterior. So it's going to take some time before we're able to safely maneuver inside and start getting water into those spaces. We're in the process of relieving crews that were here initially, so we have more crews coming from Clark County in Las Vegas that are going to start relieving City of Las Vegas crews to allow them to get back to their districts in the Las Vegas Valley. We'll probably be here for the majority of today. We have water tenders and engine companies coming from the Las Vegas Valley to participate in that effort. In addition, early crews called for assistance from the U.S. Forest Service and BLM to bring wildland trucks up here to ensure that we did not have any problems with exposures to the adjacent wildland, or pine trees that are in the area. So we collectively established a unified command post with multiple agencies making decisions together to ensure that we're providing the best service we can to this area up here. That's all I have to report.
Can you describe the damage and say whether it's a total loss as far as the lodge goes?
It's safe to say that the lodge is a total loss.
Sir, how big of a loss to the community? That was a popular spot for locals, for folks that would drive up here? How big of a loss is that?
I'm not an authority on the lodge and Mount Charleston necessarily, but I, like many of you, have been coming up to this lodge my whole life. I'm a Las Vegas Valley resident, and I've been coming up here my whole life. So, I'm sure, for the entire community of Las Vegas and Mount Charleston, people come up here all the time and add. There's employees that work there, that have worked there for a long time, and so clearly there's going to be jobs lost, memories, it's pretty substantial. I don't think that this is a historic building. I don't necessarily know, but it feels like it is, right? So it's a pretty big deal.
So the investigation, you're still, determining whether it was started inside or outside. You mentioned people witnessed flames inside the dining area. Was that before it spread to the outside, or was the building engulfed already?
On our arrival, it appeared that the majority of the fire was inside the dining area. So it would seem that it started from the inside of the structure. Investigators will be able to determine,
There were no kitchen crews or anyone getting ready for the day, anything like that, prep work, anything in the building?
At 4:45 a.m., there was nobody here.
And you said employees left the night before at 9 a.m. or p.m.?
PM, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. 9 p.m. last night.
What's your message to the residents and also the people of Las Vegas who want to come up here and check it out? Like, what's your message to them, because you guys are still on an active scene?
Right. So we're currently blocking the road down by the lower lodge. And the reason being is because we want to make sure that we have plenty of fire access for fire crews, investigators, etc. So currently we're not going to allow anybody to come up the canyon. I don't know how long that's going to last, but we would certainly advise not to come up here, at least for the next couple of days while we get this figured out. We don't, as everybody knows, the road up, it's one way in and one way out. And so if there were a lot of people coming up here to be spectators, that would cause problem for fire crews that are interchanging.
There's a fireplace in the center of the dining room. Do we know by any chance of what kind of fireplace? Was it like burning wood, gas, anything like that used to for the center of the dining room?
I'm going to speculate that it's a wood-burning fireplace based on my experience in the lodge in the past. I've come up here before and had hot chocolate and sat by the fire many times, so I can't tell you if they were using it. Seems highly unlikely considering how hot it's been for all of us lately. We've had record heat in the last week. So I can't say that they weren't using it, but I would call it highly unlikely.
How fortunate are we to make sure that this fire didn't spread onto the four other buildings? And also your training, what do you guys do to make sure you train to make sure that it doesn't spread? Like, how fortunate are we to see this?
Well, as I mentioned, as crews began arriving on scene, we immediately set up a defensive posture to protect the surrounding area. So when you declare it fire defensive, that means we're going to defend everything around it, and we're going to sacrifice the structure that's burning. Crews made the immediate decision that there was no way they were going to save any portion of the structure, and therefore they began setting up all their lines, in that defensive posture. Water supply up here is not near as good as it is in Las Vegas. There are only a few hydrants in the area, some of which are, I'm being told, supplied by water tanks. Water supply was never an issue, but we don't necessarily have as much pressure as we do and volume as we do in Las Vegas, so we had to be very smart and tactical about where we placed our defensive lines to make sure we weren't wasting the water that we did have, and that we were putting it in the right position to protect not only the timber but the surrounding structures from radiant heat and also any embers that were coming down as a result of the fire. So I think they did a fantastic job of preventing the fire from spreading to not only the timber but the surrounding structures. I'm being told that the lodges, there's approximately, I think, 20 lodges or so that people can come in and stay at. The occupants of those lodges were not evacuated. They were told to shelter in place, which means that firefighters felt they had a pretty good position between the lodge and the living quarters, which they're not attached. They're detached small cabins in the near vicinity.
You just heard the update on a major fire that broke out overnight at the lodge at Mount Charleston. We will have more for you on this developing story online at lvrj.com, and we will have an update on all of today's events for you this evening at 7 p.m. Remember, you can download our free RJ mobile app to get breaking news alerts like this sent straight to your phone. And as always, you can find us on Roku, Apple TV, YouTube, and all of your favorite digital platforms. I'm Renee Summerhour. Thank you for watching.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.